Taking a look at a since removed and deleted R Master Duel post that was deleted by the author out of, I don't know, sheer embarrassment, self-preservation, I don't know what you want to call it. But let's take a look at this YugiBoomer take here. So, we've got a rant. The way the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community gaslights returnees is wild. The Yu-Gi-Oh! You played never existed. Yes, it did. We played it. Skull emoji. I love that there's a skull emoji. Okay, right off the bat, this is true. People will always, like, try and retrospectively argue that the Yu-Gi-Oh! You played never existed. And what does the Yu-Gi-Oh! Played never existed mean? It means the Yu-Gi-Oh! We played, as in, like, you know, deck inside pack of rubber bands, summoning Blue Eyes without tributes, mashed up, like, you know, trap hole that's been chewed and looks like, you know, it came out of a dog's ass. Monster Reborn at 4 copies in your deck because it's just, you know, it's a really good card, etc., etc. That is how we played the game back in the day. We played it like that. That is true. The optimal way to play Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2004 was probably very much similar to a GOAT format list or something, whatever you want to say, or Chaos, whatever, or Recruit, or whatever it was called. But guess what? No one was really playing it like that back then. Most of us, in my generation, it was just a bunch of, like, random cards and pack filler on a rubber band, played on the ground that was slightly wet in school. That is how we played the game. That's a fact. Because the most of us were not playing the game in a super optimized way, because that ties in to how modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Has become this sort of fully optimized, you know, min-max type of gameplay, which is seen across all of the gaming sphere, right? Why do you think tier lists are the best videos that perform well on YouTube, for example, right? Because people want to know what the best thing is, how to improve their deck. Even, like, garbage, stupid, dumb rogue decks are fully optimized in such ways to deal with the current meta and stuff like that. That's just how we are with games nowadays. It wasn't like that in 2004. It just wasn't like that. Some people were definitely playing it like that, but for the most part, we were playing with just bad, dumb cards, because that's just what we had, and we were 10 years old, and we didn't think like this. The culture was different. Anyway, you're just low IQ and don't know how to play. I mean, that's kind of still true right now, but that's not the point. Do not cite the deep magic to me, Zoomer. I was there when it was written. Whoa, this guy's gonna go in. We know how to play the game. We understand how the mechanics work. We can criticize something we dislike without that inherently implying we don't understand it. That's kind of valid, you know. We are entitled to our... I don't know why I say we. I say we because I identify as, you know, the YugiBoomer since I was there since the beginning. But, okay, you know, let him cook. You should just play another card game. No. Chad. I grew up on this game, and my criticisms of the current game state comes from a place of caring about the game, not a place of hating it. This is actually true. Also, seeing as how early support for Yu-Gi-Oh! And by the way, this is just like a general thing. People think that, like, you know, why do you even like this game? Why do you even play this game if all you do is complain about it or something like that? It's like, there's a difference between complaining about the sake of complaining and having valid criticisms because you care and you want it to improve, right? Like, that's, like, the big difference that people need to understand. There's a huge, like, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of people who just hate and mold for the sake of molding because their hair follicles are falling out and no one loves them. But there's also valid criticism for something you care about. Also, seeing as how early support for Yu-Gi-Oh! By these Yugi-Boomers is what capitulated the game to such success in the first place, pipe down. You have a game because of us and as consumers. Also, seeing as how early support for Yu-Gi-Oh! By these Yugi-Boomers is what... okay, yeah, that was the same sentence. Feel free to comment more defense of modern Yu-Gi-Oh! That you want dismantled. The game dumped 5 new summoning mechanics into a game that isn't able to handle it, and as a result, we have absurd power creep to the point where entire types of cards, vanillas, traps, rituals, are obsolete. He kinda cooking. He kinda cooking. I don't know, dude. Like, is he wrong? There's been, like, what, one good trap deck in the last, like, how many years? There's been, like, 2 good ritual decks in the last how many years? Rituals were never good in old school Yu-Gi-Oh! I played the Mass Beast Turbo when I was young. Normal summon Sonic Bird, add the ritual spell that I forgot, and then ritual summon the Mass Beast, okay? I was cooking with that. It was good. Okay, admittedly, my opponents were, like, you know, summoning Rogue Doll, but shit was fire, okay? This shift in the game state to rely on fleshing out 50% of your deck turn 1 is what Yugi Boomers dislike. And it's also exactly why Maxi won't be banned. Oh god, oh god, oh god, he was almost cooking. Oh no, I was almost on his team. We have a Maxi apologist. Because special summoning ridiculously powerful effect monsters was supposed to come at card cost, and since it doesn't, the next best thing is card advantage to your opponent. I've proven how absurdly dependent people are on special summoning here quite a few times on my heavily downvoted post. You know the whole, like, Jesus meme? You know, they hated him because he told the truth. I have already proven on my heavily downvoted posts. What a martyr, dude. He's the hero we don't deserve. And discussing how an entire player base of net deckers drains the soul out of the game is pointless since you're a community of net deckers. Okay, there's a couple of things to break down here. I think he is basically spot on about the making summoning mechanics obsolete by power creep. Konami have literally had to, like, completely design around traps, for example, to make traps viable. They had to create an entire deck that works with traps and make it, like, broken in, like, a conceptual sense. Like, the fact that you can just activate traps on your own turn with, like, Coup Clock, search any normal trap from your deck is, like, crazy in concept, right? Like, if someone told you 10 years ago there would be a deck that would do that, they would just say, like, that's the best deck ever made, right? And it's, like, barely competitive. Like, Labyrinth gets, like, 1 or 2 tops per YCS this last year or so. And people would actually think that's crazy, right? Vanilla monsters, completely unplayable. Totally useless. We had a discussion at the start today talking about if you were to play a vanilla monster in your deck, what stats would it require for it to be good? Loci? Okay. Let's try and think about this objectively, chat. Do people play Loci because it's a really good vanilla monster? Or do people play Loci because, maybe it's because of the other synergies in the deck, huh? Driver? Do you think people play Driver because it's a 2500 1-stat tribute summon? Almost as good as Summon Skull, huh? Yeah? Okay, let's be realistic here, guys, alright? People aren't playing Loci because it's a good vanilla, alright? You know, otherwise we'd all be playing Genewart Werewolf. When was the last time vanillas were viable? 1478, roundabout just before King Henry IV came to the throne. Something like that. I don't know. That's when vanillas used to be good. Anyway, but it's kind of true to an extent, right? Like, entire mechanics are, like, completely suboptimal and unviable. He didn't mention flip summoning. Flip summoning is another kind of just, like, dead mechanic, right? I don't know if you've noticed, but anytime a flip ruling comes up, people usually get them wrong. Like, flip summon into a field of Goes in Match Rivalry. What happens during the damage step? Does it get cleared first? Does a flip effect trigger? A lot of people don't know this because it doesn't come up, right? Gemini, dead mechanic, completely useless. Pendulum, dead mechanic. You know what I mean? So, power creep has kind of killed a lot of mechanics in Yu-Gi-Oh! You can't deny that isn't true. But he kind of, like, goes really off the rails here and takes a different direction that's kind of incorrect. Like, Maxi is a symptom of the problem. It's not a cure. All right, Maxi was created and is played today not because, like, anyone likes it or enjoys it, mostly, I hope. It's because it deals with the issue of the power creep of the game, and it's like just a mandatory band-aid fix that you have to run, right? And also, we haven't gotten to the times with this whole concept of net decking, right? Like, if you still complain about net decking, this is how I view people who complain about net decking. Imagine taking some sort of, like, scientific theoretical concept, right? And then, let's say there's, like, 10 different studies, positive and negative, in favor of and against, proving and disproving this concept scientifically, right? What this person wants you to do is, rather than looking at those studies, rather than breaking those studies down and looking at all of their conclusions and their peer reviews, he wants you to ignore it and then just analyze and do the concept from yourself from scratch, right? That's maybe a bit of an extreme example, but that's what he wants you to do. Rather than looking at what's already established, what already works, what's already proven to work, you know, YCS winning Rescue Ace decklist, Manadium topping decklist, he wants you to not look at that and start from scratch. From the perspective of studies and research and academia, you would never do that. That's absurd. You would look at what is already there and present, and then you would go from there. It's a big leap to say that science and Yu-Gi-Oh have a lot in common, but realistically, why would I bother trying to build completely from scratch a deck when I could just take a look at what's already available and then use that as a basis, change it how I feel and how I like the deck and what I think works and doesn't work and based on the meta, etc., right? Use it as a template and then continue from there. Right? So a lot of these YugiBoomers just seem to hate net decking because they kind of just want you to start from scratch because it's somehow more honorable or something. I don't know. I've never really understood why people are so against net decking, right? There is no need to reinvent the wheel. Exactly. Perfectly put. That's a world champion diff right there. Very intelligent. Why reinvent the wheel? You just look at the wheel and then maybe we can make it a metal wheel. Maybe we can give it a better type of rubber. Maybe we can make it out of wood. Maybe we can make it square. Oh, wait, why would you make a square wheel? Right? Exactly. Or why would we do that? Okay, I'm getting a little bit over the top with this example. Let's move on.
Wake up and chose Gemini to be a competent mechanic. We will feel true fear.
Thank you, Achiolo. Appreciate the bits. If so much of the returnee community and so many of the turned-off would-be new players are all raising the exact same criticism about the game, maybe it's not that you have some galaxy brain and that we're all peons. This is a pretty good point, right? If enough people complain about the same thing, you kind of do maybe have to take a step back and recognize, like, okay, clearly there's an issue here, right? Like, how many times have we seen people make the same arguments about Yu-Gi-Oh? Grr, card text bad. Grr, special summon too many times, right? And yes, we can probably take one angle and one argument and be like, yeah, card text long. Read the card. Ha ha ha. How many times are we going to make the same reading joke in Yu-Gi-Oh before we realize, hang on, maybe there's an issue with card text in this game. Maybe Yu-Gi-Oh does have a card text problem. Maybe Yu-Gi-Oh does need some sort of keyword system or some kind of shorthand system or some way to just read cards more simply and better or a structured layout with bullet points, etc., right? I know some of you hate all of the examples I just gave, but there has to be some kind of discussion about that, right? Because clearly this is brought up almost weekly by some random post on the internet by some guy who hasn't played Yu-Gi-Oh in like 15 years, right? Because guess what? Card text, maybe that's an issue. Maybe that's, if thousands of people at this point have complained about this thing, perhaps it's time to maybe actually recognize that there's a problem, you know? So yeah, I think it's valid, right? Like, we can say, like, yeah, special summon bad, but it's like, why are people complaining about special summon bad? What is at the root problem of special summon bad? Well, these people complain about special summon bad because the root of the problem is that they don't feel like they get to play. They don't feel like they get to have a chance at actually interacting. I've done a long essay about this on YouTube talking about floodgates, but at the root of a duel, what is fun about a duel? Conceptually, as a human social interactive hobby, what is it that actually makes a Yu-Gi-Oh duel fun? What is it that makes it fun? At the root of it, I concluded that it's interaction. If you get to actually interact with your opponent, that is what's considered fun, right? If you aren't interacting with your opponent and you're waiting for 8 minutes for your opponent to do their Manadium combo, you're going to get frustrated, bored, and just lose interest in the game. A lot of you are saying winning. Okay, cool. Yes, I'm sure that's very important. But at the heart of it, I think people just want to be able to interact and feel like they have a chance, right? If you don't feel like you have a chance, then maybe there's an issue with the power of the cards. Anyway, I'll probably get downvoted so hard that I'll lose the ability to comment, but I think you collect... Is that a thing? If you get downvoted enough, does it just shadow ban you? That's really funny. That's so toxic. But I think you collectively need to reflect on the way you treat criticism of the game. This is true. This is actually true. People like... It's really sad, but people see criticism of Yu-Gi-Oh! And they get hyper defensive. Because naturally, like, I think this is just a human thing, right? If you criticize the thing that I've sunken cost fallacied my entire life into, I'm going to take that as a personal attack, right? If you criticize me for something I do that is a big, huge part of my life, it isn't Yu-Gi-Oh! You're criticizing. It's me as a person you're criticizing. Because I have an affinity to that thing that has taken up a lot of my time, effort, identity, and social cohesion in society, right? So if you start criticizing that thing, I get offended by it. That's how a lot of people feel towards Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is a bit weird, but you can understand why that works that way. So people get very defensive when their hobby is criticized, because if you criticize your hobby, what you're actually doing is you're criticizing how I use my time. And if you are telling me the way I use my time is wasteful, I'm going to get upset by that, right? So that's how people view criticism of Yu-Gi-Oh! People need to just try and detach a little bit and try and look at the game objectively and not feel like so defensive about it. No one wants to destroy the game, and the way y'all hiss at new players and returnees alike is super cringe. Edit. Damn, if y'all didn't prove my point. Gonna head out now. Thanks for such constructive dialogue, sarcasm. To the very, very few of you who actually did say constructive things, thank you. Alright. Oh, wait, hold on. There's part 2. Let's see who doesn't understand basic game design. What is this? This is the code to duel me on Mastodon, not my phone number. Oh, thank God, I am so tired, bro, for real. Haha. Wait, how is that supposed to mean anything? He can win or lose a simple duel and he'd still be right. Nothing would change. If you lose to someone who doesn't understand basic game design, then either you also don't understand it or you're wrong and the person you lost to does. But that's false. You can lose a duel and still possess a tertiary understanding of game design. This is a non sequitur. If you understand game design and you assert your prospective opponent doesn't, then you are claiming to have an advantage of experience / competence with how the game is played. Oh my God, these guys are about to settle this in a duel. This is the first actual normal argument on the internet. This is how every argument should be settled, is in a duel. How does this play? Do you think there's did he save the replay? Hold on. I'm actually loading up the game here. I'm loading up the game to see if he saved the replay. When was this posted? Is there a date here? This was posted on the 29th of November. If he has a replay on his thing, he might have saved it. Oh, he didn't save it. Oh, he didn't save it. All right, let's see if they settled it. If you understand game design and you... Okay, let's see. If you understand game... Wait, did we read this one? If you understand game design and you assert your prospective opponent doesn't, then you are claiming to have an advantage... Wait, we already read this part. No, it doesn't translate directly to a duel like that. I won the duel, so I'm right is not a valid position. Non sequitur. Well, YugiBoomer would argue that I won the duel, so I'm right is actually a valid position. More like, I won the duel, therefore you underestimated my understanding of basic game design while overestimating yours. Oh, true. Because again, if you have a better understanding of this, then you likely have an advantage when playing. They tried to rescue my opinion to not understanding the game, so I offered to beat them at the game. This isn't a non sequitur and is too linear for you to be getting lost with. You said you're tired, right? I mean this very politely and sincerely. Come back to this when you wake up. No, that still doesn't apply the way you think it does. No parts of either of your arguments are impacted by the result of a duel. This is egotistical nonsense. Either that or the cards didn't come up in your favor. Any TCG will have a degree of luck, and every deck, no matter how consistent, will occasionally break. Especially in best of one, luck will be a factor. Oh, did they duel at this point? Is he making excuses? Did we already duel? This is why no one is taking you up on your challenge, because your deck is miserable, and I use this term as loosely as possible, play against. And because win or lose, it doesn't actually mean anything as far as the arguments go. Winning a single game doesn't mean you're better or they're worse, or that you're right or they're wrong. It just means the cards came up in your favor. Plus, any duel is meaningless by default. Yes. What is going on here? Quite a 180 for you. Now you understand. No, that still doesn't apply the way you think it does. No parts of either of your arguments are impacted by the result of a duel. If you tell me I am bad at X and I beat you at X, one of three things are true. You are worse at X, I am better at X, or I got lucky. Dude, this is the most insane argument I've ever seen. Boomer versus Zoomer, dude. This is actually the most crazy argument I've seen on the internet. I got lucky. We didn't get far enough to determine if luck was a factor. Probably would have required a couple of rematches. Anyway, it's absolutely not an egotistical thing to challenge a claim against my capacity to understand a game. This whole interaction with you and other dude is super weird, man. Wait, so did he win? That equation isn't the situation you're in. You omitted context on purpose to fake your position. He said you were bad at X. You presented a challenge correlated with Y to prove you're good at X. Philosophy, like calculations 101, dude. Oh my goodness, bro, read my other comments. All I said was, yes, obviously a children's card game is inherently meaningless. No egos are bruised here. The user said I didn't understand the game, so I offered to beat them at the game. Stop trying to turn this into some deeper philosophical thing. It's straightforward. I didn't present any arguments as philosophical. You're right to say this is straightforward. You're just wrong and don't understand why, or your ego won't let you. I'm not omitting any context. What on earth are you talking about? Okay. She said I was bad at understanding basic game mechanics. This was based on my opinions regarding the game Yu-Gi-Oh's mechanics, more specifically summoning. So I challenged this claim by challenging them to a game where allegedly I don't understand the mechanics. Because if they were to lose that game, which inherently requires an understanding of basic game mechanics, they would be wrong in their claim. Damn. You are, and you don't realize it. You're crossing context. Having a wide understanding of game design does not give you the benefits in a duel that you're hoping it does. Duels are widely variable, something you'd already know full well and remember right now if you knew anything about game design. You're bad at this, bro. I love that just devolves to you're bad. he just gave up on logical arguing. Strawman and severe irony. That's actually not strawman, it's ad hominem. Dude, okay, this person is wrong, okay? I'm sorry. Like, we don't even know the difference between ad hominem and strawman? Really? I'm not crossing context at all. For someone who doesn't... Find someone who doesn't know anything about basic game design and have them play Yu-Gi-Oh! They will most likely lose. I'm done arguing with you about literally nothing. Goodbye. No, you are. My point remains. Either for design or mechanic, it doesn't benefit a player the way you hope it does. This is why I feel like this is an ego thing for you. You're clearly just making an excuse to duel and pat yourself in the back and feel above your opponent. You're just trying to self-medicate. Don't know what a strawman is, plus overanalyzing something basic. You're still doing it. Ah, yes, you're right. I'm self-medicating with fucking Yu-Gi-Oh! Skull emoji, cry, laugh. Bye! Yeah, that's how you're trying to nurse your ego bruises with a card game. That's how pathetic you're being. I'm just as shocked as you are. Whatever you need to tell yourself, dude. That's my line. Whatever you need to do to win arguments when you aren't good enough, just try to duel them. Your ego is in the way of realizing, oh, I can't believe this is still going. I'm sorry. Listen, I should have stopped like 20 minutes ago, but like, I need to, like, we've gotten this deep and this far. We need to see what the conclusion is. Like, how are they still going? It's a rabbit hole that we're too deep into. We need to conclude this. Your ego is in the way of you realizing you're strawmanning me, so you are self-medicating with Yu-Gi-Oh cards. You are insane. That's rich coming from Mr. I win the argument by winning the duel. But is he wrong? But is he wrong? Yes, when people say you're bad at... He's just repeating the same argument. He doesn't get it, okay? Like, okay, like, since we're, like, maybe past, like, the 70% way through, can we, like, try and summarize and understand where we're at here? I think this guy has made a very basic point here, right? It's like... Okay. I think he's kind of, sort of, like, correct in some way, right? He's like, well, you're saying I'm so bad at Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't understand Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm, like, a dumbass at Yu-Gi-Oh! If I'm so bad and stupid and dumb at Yu-Gi-Oh! Why don't you duel me and see if you beat me? Right? I think that's a valid point, right? Because surely, if I'm so bad at Yu-Gi-Oh! And so dumb, and I don't understand anything about the game, then you would be able to beat me in a duel, right? Surely? That's kind of like the challenge he's putting forward. The other person is arguing, well, I could duel you, but it's a card game, there's luck, there's variance, and that's just not how that works. It doesn't make your argument more correct, right? So there's two ways to look at it. I think, to an extent, I mean, if I'm so bad at the game, then surely you could just beat me, right? Like, theoretically, you know, if I'm so bad, you should be able to just take me down, right? But yeah, that's kind of roughly where we're at. You're conflating again. More advanced game knowledge doesn't grant the duel wins in the way you think it does. Duels are highly varied. There is a non sequitur. You're a coward with a glass ego.
They should kiss.
Thank you, Zephyr Oracle. Yes, they should kiss. Thank you for the 47 months. That's rich coming from Mr. I win the argument by winning the duel. I demonstrate an understanding of game mechanics by beating you in a game. Yes. Bro, they declined the duel. Give it a rest. Good, they know better. Than to play a card game with a fellow user in a subreddit about a card game. Right. They know better than to feed your ego and they know it's irrelevant. Do you see why the subreddit doesn't take you seriously? I'm not a coward at all, and you are wholly mistaken about the state of my ego. You have been projecting for like an hour and need to go to bed. Nah, I'm nail-gunning gnats over here. As I said before, whatever you gotta tell yourself, bro. Ironically, as I said before, whatever you gotta tell yourself, bro, is exactly what you need to tell yourself. Weird. How are they still going? Just fuck already, dude. Just, like, can they stop? This is insane. Like, how are they still going? Oh... Like, what is the conclusion of this? I just want to get the conclusion of this. Capacity to win at a game involving strategy is not irrelevant to a claim against one's understanding of basic design. I, too, do not take y'all remotely seriously. I mean, damn, literally make a comment on the game state and have to deal with people telling me I'm ball and chained to my ego and shit. Y'all are nuts. No, it is irrelevant enough that it doesn't impact an argument via duel results. There is a Venn diagram there that you can see, but it isn't overlapping as much as you need it to. I think you should just go. Both of you have been telling each other to go for like an hour at this point. I think you should go to bed. You need to understand a game to be able to play it. To be able to understand a game, you have to be able to understand games broadly. You tried, it didn't work. But it's okay, because you're tired and are reading too deep into a discussion about Yu-Gi-Oh! Good night. Understanding a game is necessary, but that isn't my argument. My argument is that it isn't demonstrated in a duel enough to be used as an angle. By refusing to duel you, you're denied the critical ego boost you need to survive, and that's burning your biscuits. Good. This is insane. This is insane. This is insane. Holy crap, dude. I don't know how this argument even, like, finishes at this point. Like, how do you conclude this? I think it really should just be a duel at this point. Like, holy crap, dude. I think they both make very good points. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I do genuinely think both of them make good arguments to some extent in some ways. But, like, just, I don't know, man. Just kiss or, like, duel each other at this stage. Wait, that's it? Wait, so what happened? That was the last... That's it? It's done? It's... No, there's no way. They kissed! Hold on. Hold on. Let me see if I can find the deleted thread. Nope, there's no conclusion here.